This evening's meeting is a little different than our normal format where we bring a resource person and they talk about their subject, etc. And then we take questions after from that person. Tonight, we have varying talent and experience, so we'll be taking some questions. We'll be talking or discussing the integrated practice model. If you have questions about that, we'll discuss the promoting partnership practice and the survey, the follow-up survey that is on our website. We want to hear from you what kind of trainings, what you want to hear or be trained on this year, and any other questions. And how is COVID and fostering working for you? So we're here to spend some time together for the next hour to learn, to share, to grow, and hopefully we will all be encouraged that we're in this together. It's not an easy job being a resource parent. The last 2 years have made that even more difficult, and we want to hear from you. So we don't have a lot of people on the call tonight, so if you want to unmute, we're going to do something just a little differently. We'll have you pop on, say your name, where you're from, and how long you've been fostering. We will finish with Sam and Jane. So I'll just go ahead and call it out. Sharon, we heard you're from Allegheny County, I believe. How long have you been fostering?
I've been fostering since about 2017. I've only had 2 placements, and the one I have now looks like is going to be a permanent one.
Okay, good. Craig and Tiffany Dietrich.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Craig and I have been foster parents in Allegheny County for about 2.5 years, and we ended up adopting our first placement. So it's been crazy through COVID, but we came out with a blessing. So we're very excited.
Thank you and welcome. Chris and Emily Jordan.
Hello, everyone. This is Kristen Emily Jordan, and we have been fostering for about 3 years, and we've had 12 placements in the past 3 years.
Thank you. Travis and Kathleen Roberts.
Good evening, everyone. We've been foster parents since 2016. I've kind of lost track on the amount of placements we've had. We've had a lot of long-term, short-term. We ended up adopting 1, and we're looking to adopt 2 more.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. Nandi Jones.
Hello, this is Nandi. I've been fostering for 5 years, and I have had 13 placements.
Okay, good. Jim O'Brien.
I'm sorry, I'm slow on the mute. Jim O'Brien, Mary Jo O'Brien. We've been fostering for 3 years, and I've had 3 children in our care for most of those 3 years.
Okay, April Clark.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is April Clark. I'm in Baltimore County, and my husband Joe and I have been foster parents. I believe this is going into our 4th year, and we've had 3 placements, and we hope to adopt at some point.
Okay, thank you. Megan Nealon.
Hi, my husband and I have been fostering for 5.5 years now. We've had, I don't know, 19 or 20 placements at this point. And one has ended in adoption, one is looking that way, and who knows what else after that.
Okay, thank you. Brianne and Thomas Reynolds.
Hi, we are in Montgomery County, and we have been fostering a total of about a year now. In two different locations. Part of that was in another state, but we've been doing about 5 months with one placement here in Maryland.
Okay, welcome. Okay, Dr. Wharton, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joan Wharton, MRPA board member and an advocate for foster care and adoption. I did kinship care way back in the day. All those children are grown and have their own children.
Yes, and Dr. Wharton also is the director at One Church, One Child. So we're glad that she's part of the MRPA. James Craig.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm currently the president of MRPA. I've been fostering for just shy of 18 years. I can't maybe begin to tell you how many placements I've had, but quite a few. Also, I'm from Prince George's County, and I work with the Prince George's County Resource Parents Association as well.
Okay, and then Sam Macer.
Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. As Arnie said, I'm Sam. I'm one of the co-founders of the MRPA. We founded, what is it, around 2005, Arnie, you think? Is that when we started?
Yes.
Okay.
4 or 5, yeah.
Okay. I've been with the child welfare system for about 55 years. My parents were foster parents when I was 5 years old, back in 1955, I think it was. And we had pretend brothers and sisters coming in and out of our home. And it was really a interesting experiences. That's where I learned about that trauma that children go through. And it was, like I said, an interesting experience. Now, my wife and I became resource parents in the year 2000. And we stayed until 2017. And we kind of specialized in teenagers during our time. And initially, we took the young folks. And then our director called me up and said, Sam, would you please take somebody from a group home? And I said, heck no, we're not taking a teenager from a group home. That's just not, it's just not going to work. But she promised to support us. And we ended up taking teenagers. And from that point, we only took teenagers. We really wanted to help that particular population. And it really just worked out well for my family. So teenagers were my specialty thing. Arnie, now I work for the Child Welfare Academy, and we provide training for all of you guys. You got to get your 10 hours a year, and we provide the training for that. And Arnie, since we're going to be an unusual format today, can I ask about training?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Hey guys,
we're in a very open format tonight. Okay,
thanks. Where do you guys get your 10 hours of training? Let's start with Sharon first. Sharon, where do you get your 10 hours of training each year, your annual training? Let's start with Sharon Slatter first.
Sometimes we do we've done some on-site in-services with, like they did one this past fall at one of our local state parks, where they had a social worker from downstate come up and talk to us. And then we've done online trainings through Maryland, those types of things. I went to one through the Judy Center here in Cumberland.
Good. And people should realize that we do want you to come to the University of Maryland if you need us, but if you can get training in your local areas, that's fine also. As long as your local Department of Social Services approves that training, that's all you got to do. What about Craig and Tiffany Dietrich? Is that, yeah. Well, where do you guys get your training?
Yes, we're also from Allegheny County, so the same as what Sharon said. Our local Allegheny County agency provides in person, and she sends emails out frequently of these trainings, and we listen to these trainings with Arnie often, and we enjoy them. So
Beautiful. That's great. Good.
we take advantage of these. Thank you.
Okay, thanks there. Chris and Emily Jordan, what about you guys? Where do you get your training?
We've done in person, mostly before COVID hit, and gone to a couple of like all day events, conferences. And then since COVID, we've mostly just done online. So we do it through the University of Maryland social work and website. And then we've done the foster parent college.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. That's a convenient. Yeah. How about Nandi Jones? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, yes. Prior to COVID, I went to the majority, of course, on site through Montgomery County. Currently, I take online classes through the University of Maryland, also through our Foster Parent Association. I receive credit with their meetings as well.
Good,
and
good.
Yeah, if anyone hears of anything outside of the University of Maryland or Montgomery County, they'll normally shoot us an email, and I'll try to take a course with them as well.
Okay, beautiful. What about Jim O'Brien family?
Yeah, it's usually University of Maryland. I'm also doing some of the foster parent association, taking credit for that. I'm actually looking to hopefully expand it, and this has also been a good forum to learn from. And I guess you can actually click on this webpage too to look at past ones and get some good training from that also.
Great. Thanks, Jim. And it was April Clark. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, it's April,
Hey.
just like, yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, April.
Yeah, my parents just had to be different and spell it differently. Most of our training has also been through University of Maryland and also attending these meetings, but I am interested in kind of mixing it up, just I'm satisfied with the trainings. Just it would be nice to maybe have some other resources or websites to do some more online training.
Okay. And thanks a lot, April. Megan, where you get your training?
So the Child Welfare Academy, I definitely prefer online trainings even prior to COVID. But in addition to kind of the ones everyone else said, I've looked at, I've watched webinars through SAMHSA and some child welfare and trauma informed related nonprofits, just because that's part of my professional sphere as well. So that way I'm able to incorporate work and the training hours as well.
Got you. Thanks. And Brianne?
So we have done
Thomas. Okay.
Well, it's both of us here. So
okay.
Brian stepped away with our foster child at the moment. He is our biggest source of training, honestly, but the just the online trainings that have come across so far, Foster Parent College, and the Foster Parent Association, so far, but we're pretty new to this, so super open to other sources at this point. So
beautiful. Thanks a lot, Thomas. Yeah, I just want you to keep in mind that the Child Welfare Academy where I work always wants to hear from you guys about training you might need. You might have, if you have teens, if you have infants or whatever, you might want some specific type training. So keep in mind, you can always contact MRPA, and we'll get the message and we'll get it to the Child Welfare Academy, because we do want to know about the trainings that you need. And at this point, we're still planning virtual trainings for a long time. We haven't, even thought about going back to our conferences or our local DSS trainings. But people seem to like the virtual things. You don't have to go out of your house. You don't have to drive a long way. So yeah, I think this virtual thing is going to be around to stay. So anyway, just keep in mind, the Child Welfare Academy is there for you, and I can make sure I can get to the manager if you got any suggestions or ideas about how you might want to be trained. All right, thanks, Arnie, for that time.
Yeah, and I would just like to put a plug in for the National Foster Parent Association, their training academy. It is, if you Google NFPA TI for training, Training Institute, it is. It's a collaboration with Centene and the Child Information Gateway. All the trainings on it are free, and you complete one training. At the end of each training, you can download your certificate. So that's NFPA TI, which is part of the National Foster Parent Association. So there's some great trainings there as well. So that's an excellent discussion, and it's great to hear where people are getting their training. And thank you for your lively participation tonight. One of the things that we had planned to talk about or had on the schedule to talk about is the integrated practice model. And Sam's going to talk just a couple minutes about that. He's trained on that. He's part of that team at the Child Welfare Academy. We'll talk about that and then set the stage for how an integrated practice model connects us to some of the things like promoting partnerships and the emphasis not only in the state, but all around the country for resource parents to be in communication with the biological family, and in a lot of incidents from day one. And so we'll talk some about that and how to put that together, or how that all dovetails together. So Sam, talk to us a little bit about the integrated practice model.
Mute there,
Sam,
Sam.
you're muted.
Here we go. Okay, guys, I got it. Thank you, Arnie. Yeah. The state of Maryland wants all of its staff, the caseworkers, they want the supervisors, they want to remind their staff and the supervisors that they have to do maybe a better job or maybe reinforced type job in terms of connecting with you guys, your resource parents, or maybe the adults that they serve. The state of Maryland wants all of their workers to say, hey, we want to create authentic partnerships between the caseworkers that are working with you directly and yourself. It's really been a tough situation because some of the resource parents, over the past few years, have felt like they weren't really connecting authentically with their caseworker. And sometimes it might be a situation where you just don't understand what the caseworker's responsibilities are, and the caseworker is really not sharing with you what their responsibilities are. So they want a better connection between the people, the caseworkers, and everyone that they work with within the child welfare community. Now, what we did is that we asked every single person, all caseworkers and all supervisors, to take a day-long class on the integrated practice model. And you might say, well, what does that really mean, the integrated practice model? Well, if you work for CPS, if you're a caseworker in permanency, if you're a caseworker in getting resource parents to apply to be a foster care, they want all of those units to sort of act in the same way. In other words, we don't want to, as a caseworker, when I was a caseworker in Baltimore City for a while, I don't come to you in a dictatorial manner saying, okay, this is what the rules are and this is what how it's going to be. it's more like a collaboration there. They want to make certain that resource parents feel like they're valued and respected. And we had a whole, like I said, we had a whole day of training based on the fact that, look, we want to improve authentic partnership between the people that we serve, the people that they serve, and you guys. And like I said, I was a resource parent for 15 years, and I was very fortunate in that my worker, you know, she had such a good relationship with us, so that's why we really stayed for 15 years. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have stayed that long. But working with a good caseworker who understands that they're not the dictatorial boss, you have to work with me, that was a good thing. So we want that kind of to be spread all across the state of Maryland to make sure, and let me just tell you really quick, within the integrated practice model, their core values. We have core values that we want the caseworkers to consider. And we're gonna, I've told Arnie, I'm gonna share this with him so we can put it on the MRPA website, but there's core values that everybody's supposed to consider, all the caseworkers are supposed to consider. Their core principles also that can be shared with you guys. And we have also core practices, 3 things that the integrated practice model supports. Those 3 things: the core values, the core principles, and the core practices. And on the second day of training, we introduced the concept of teaming. Really, really important, because you should not feel like you're isolated out there taking care of the young people. You know, it's a matter of effective teaming. And like I said, we had a whole day on how to promote teaming. And it's really, you know, not only a benefit to the caseworkers to remember that, hey, they should be part of that team, but also you as resource parents, that you are really a part of the team. Because some resource parents say, wait a minute, I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like, you know, they're treating me badly. So we want to throw that out, and we want to make certain that all individuals who deals with resource parents or kinship families or vulnerable adults, we want to make sure that all the population, you know, feels like they're being heard and that they're going to head and use a good team. So in general, Arnie, with that's what it's about. It's about the core practices, principles, and things like that, and the teaming that was really important, part of the integrated practice model. And I said, we'll go ahead and put this on the website so all resource parents can see this. But in essence, Arnie, that's what that was all about.
Okay, and do we have any questions about, have you, where and other than the training we did, are you hearing about the integrated practice model from your caseworker or the people you interact with at DSS? I'd love to hear some feedback as to this was implemented in 2019, so we're better than 2 years into it. And we're wondering, that's why we had the survey. At the end of our website, there is a survey that asks some questions about this. And even after we talk about it tonight, I would just love if you would go on the website and answer those couple questions, which ask that. Are you hearing anything? In the chat, I see somebody saying no, they've not heard about it from their caseworker. That's Chris and Emily Jordan. Anybody else have a comment? You can either put it in the chat or unmute and tell us, have you heard anything? Okay, looks like the chat's where most people are putting their thing. And the answer continues to be no, nope, nothing. You know, please, if you haven't responded, give us an answer. That's one of the reasons we're continuing Okay, Jim, you said you haven't heard about it from a caseworker. Where have you heard about it, here or elsewhere?
I'm part of the Montgomery County Foster Parent Association, so we've been kind of hearing what is going on with that. And, we have the caseworker and also have my social worker who's real in tune to this, but it's been slow rollout from the county. Well, I mean, from the county management, they've talked to the Foster Parent Association, but from the caseworker, I've heard absolutely nothing.
Okay.
No,
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
and it wouldn't hurt at all for you guys to say, hey, the MRPA was telling us about the integrated practice model. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Caseworker, ask them what is it all about? Because we trained every single person that works with you guys. So it's not like they didn't get the training. And it's a reminder for them that they just need to remember that they want to better engage you guys. There's nothing new, because as a social worker, they should understand that. But it was sort of a reminder to them that it's important to have positive relationships with resource parents, because if you're not happy, you might leave, and they don't want that. Thanks, Arnie.
One of the things that I've seen in the data that we're looking at, in one 12-month period in a county, not in Maryland, there was 100% turnover in the caseworkers. And so we're seeing those kind of statistics all across the country. And so it makes it hard sometimes to actually, from the state's perspective, implement a practice when the turnover is that high. Now, I don't know that we have 100% turnover, but I know in a 2.5 year period with 3 of the foster children we had 5 different caseworkers because of turnover, all different kinds of issues. Now, so what are you experiencing in turnover? Are you, do you want to talk about it, or do you want to put it in the chat? I'd really like to hear what kind of experiences you as resource families are having with worker turnover.
Hi, this is April. I was actually thinking about, as we were talking about this new initiative, is that I think that that there's good intent there, but quite frankly, I feel like our social workers are just exhausted. I mean, just yesterday, our social worker whom we've had for about, I guess, 7 months now, told me that she was resigning. I was actually shocked that she gave us such a short notice, but I think that there is an issue of turnover, and quite frankly, it's affecting a lot of industries. I mean, we all probably heard the term the Great Resignation. There's a lot of people leaving jobs and taking new jobs. So I think the initiative sounds great, but I guess right now the hot topics are probably workload, and I think within Baltimore County they've been saying an extremely large number of kids come into care. And my husband and I currently have an issue with, we have not heard from the state as far as what's up with this new surge. And, are we going back to virtual visits? I know we'll probably touch that topic later, but, that's something that's been at the top of my mind.
Yeah, we'll catch that, but at this point we have heard nothing about it either. I haven't seen anything about going back to virtual visits because of this surge. But no, it is. I'm very interested. The chat is giving us a lot of good feedback on the turnover rate. It's very high. That makes it very difficult to implement a practice model. It also makes it difficult, as the one comment said, to understand what's happening in the world of FFPSA. That's the Family Preservation Act, how it affects Maryland, how it affects kids in care, et cetera. So yes, it is. Our good friend Jim McAllister, who some of you know, says there's an old Chinese proverb that's, or a curse, I guess, that says, "May you live in interesting times." And I would say, with what we've experienced in the last 2 years, we've certainly experienced very interesting times. And I guess each of us gets to decide if we see that as a blessing or as a curse. So thank you. Thanks for that discussion. We'll roll on then to, go ahead, James.
Yeah, I was gonna say before you move on, not to make the situation sound any worse, but as the meeting I attended yesterday with the legislation review, this is universal. The shortage of social workers or those resigning, foster homes closing, just not having enough homes for care. So it's across the state. I would imagine even nationwide. The answers right now have not been, coming across as how do we fix this issue.
Yes, it's national. There are incredible numbers and tragedy at so many levels, with kids sleeping in cafeterias, in cars, motels or hotels being rented, and multiple teenagers living in rooms on a floor with a social worker camped out at each end, or at the ends where the stairways are, and at the elevators, to try to have some kind of control. But and I haven't heard those stories in Maryland, but there's a lot of states around us that are experiencing those kind of number surges, and just nowhere for kids and young people to go. So it's an incredible. It's a really, in a lot of ways, a tragic situation. So, how many of you have heard about the promoting partnership practice? What's and the partnership practice talks about icebreakers, comfort calls, and then a continuum of contact with the bio parent. Are any of you hearing about that at your state, at your local level? And are your workers asking you or helping you to do any of these things? So we have someone who had a comfort call. First time in December. Would you like to tell us about it? How did it work? Were you apprehensive before, and do you feel different afterward?
We had discussed this at one of our foster parent association meetings, and this was the first time that it took place for me. I was hesitant at first, but I believe it was a supervisor who facilitated the call between myself and the biological mom of my placement, and it went well.
Good. Was it within the first couple days of
Yes,
your placement?
Yes, it was. I believe it was the third day, actually. So yes, it was relatively early.
So we have someone else, Chris or Emily Jordan. Would you like to comment on your comment that it didn't go well, so doubtful?
We were told about the comfort calls, which was kind of a new thing since we've been fostering, and it's kind of hit or miss the contact we've had with bio families with some of our kiddos. Some of it has gone well, some of it has not. And then we were told by our case manager, who has been in practice for 30 years, that this was an intervention that has been used before in the past, and it phased out because it didn't go well. So hopefully the way they're doing it now and integrating it will work better this go around. I can see the benefits of it, and also where it could maybe cause some problems too. I think it's definitely important for parents, resource parents, to get information on the children, and often the caseworkers just do not have it.
Yes, April, you are indicating that you don't know what it is. So yes, it is a call that's to be facilitated by the caseworker within 24 hours of the child coming into your home. It's supposed to be done on their phone or department phone, and it only needs to be a few minutes, but it allows you as the resource parent to say, hey, my name's Miss April. I will be taking care of your child for temporarily. Is there anything you can tell me about your child? What's their favorite food? Do they have a song or a stuffed animal or a show that they like to watch? You know, depending on the age of the child, you ask those type of things to try to get some information, and or if they are allergic to anything. So that is basically the concept of a comfort call. So I see that you said you have done that. So we have somebody else that said a very positive experience. And April, you're saying now that you have done something like that. What was your experience? How did it work?
It was a great experience. So the social worker didn't name it a comfort call, but we definitely had it, I feel like, within 24 to 48 hours as well. So it was a good experience.
Good. Okay. Any other questions about that? Or any thoughts? We'd love to hear your thoughts or comments. Tonight is about you and your thoughts. Okay, then we'll move on to.
I did have one thought on that, and
yes, Jim.
I think it's a positive. I like the idea. I'm sure there's situations where it will not work and so forth. What has been interesting is that some of the negativity I've heard about it. You know, people seem to be worried about that. So I don't know if you have heard that or not, but I see it as a positive. But I have heard, you know, the people in the FPA and others be worried that it's not a good idea. I think it is a good idea.
Well, let me just say this, that when this first rolled out in June of 2021, there was an incredible amount of pushback from the social workers and the local DSSs. So it was modified and reintroduced in December. The state is the one who pulled it back and then put it out in a little different format. So not only is there angst among resource workers, there was significant angst among caseworkers, some of them feeling that it just added something else to their plate that they didn't have the time to do. However, I think as we think about this in the context of the integrated practice, and this being a practice that starts a channel of communication that goes from day one through the time that the child is physically separated from their parent, that it is helpful and it's part of making the best effort to make all the situations better. We all know, and as resource parents, we know that even just a little more communication would make our job as a resource parent better. So I'm sure that the birth parents, the bio parents, family of origin, whatever you want to refer to them as, or just the parent, communication and information will help them in their processes as well. So if it works for us, I'm sure it should also work for them. So it's good to hear positive comments, and the fact that even if we don't feel 100% comfortable or we have some doubts, that we push through them and come out the other side with a deeper understanding of what works best for the children that we care for. So that's a great discussion, and I'm glad in some ways that it's not a large group tonight, and also I thank you all for being very interactive, because this does help a whole lot in our understanding of how to keep things moving forward and enhance and push for the effort of having better communication. One of the things that we have coming up in February, there won't be the opportunity for everybody to join, partly because the size will be limited, but it's also during the day, is a healthcare roundtable. And but it will be recorded, and we will have links to it on the MRPA website. We are having, we're working with DHS on this, and there's multiple partners, a roundtable that talks about everything you wanted to know about what and how to access the how to make your health passport work the best at a doctor's office. What happens if your child needs special equipment that they may tell you they don't have initially? Or what happens if your child needs to see a specialist multiple times in a very short period of time? I did not know this, but in some of these situations, it's the insurance provider's responsibility to ensure that these children get to these appointments once they've set some of this up. And so there are some transportation services also available. And so this is, I've set on multiple of these preparation meetings. It will be in February. We will be announcing it on our website, but like I was told today, there's only going to be what they're saying now, 150 slots, but we will have access to the recording, so you'll be able to watch it and get that information. And we'll probably highlight it in one of these next episodes of First Tuesday, probably in March. We will also be able to have the handout available, which will help you know based on which healthcare provider your child has, what to expect or where to go if you're not getting anywhere with like the pediatrician and you really think the child needs to see a specialist. So some of this is very interesting, and I am really looking forward to having that information available for resource parents. So that will be up on our site. If you can register and attend it, it's like 4 or 5 hours in the middle of the day. It starts like at 9 and runs to 1 or 2. I know that's a long time, but we're hoping to have it set up so you can watch it in segments on our website. Any thoughts or, and then please either unmute or put in the chat what kind of trainings you would like to have available. I don't know if any of you listened to Barb Clark last year talk about FASD and and trauma responses for children in our care. She was hit. I spoke with her yesterday about some other things. We could have her come back, but what is it that you would like to hear or be trained on? Okay, resources for special needs children. Are the special needs more medical or are they more psychological? And I know in a lot of cases they are intertwined, but both. Okay. Anything else? We really want the format tonight was to get in, give you a chance to interact more than normally we have, with that we've always done sometimes in the past.
Well, this is Jim O'Brien. We're actually, our Foster Parent Association is trying to sponsor this training, which I think is good, is actually understanding, what happens via the court system with the kids and so forth. So they're looking to get a retired judge to come in and discuss from their perspective how things work in the system, and also maybe get a county lawyer and a kid's lawyer, maybe even a CASA, to kind of explain how all the parts work together. We are on the sideline for most of that, but we are definitely impacted and affected and, concerned that it all goes right. So we'd like to understand how it is supposed to work, just to have that as a, kind of a baseline. So I think that's going to be good if we ever can pull it together.
I know in St. Mary's County, in Southern Maryland, they have a pretty good training that's put together. That's part of their PRIDE training. However, I looked at it to see if there was ways to use it on a state level, but different jurisdictions use the court system a little differently. Some of them use the masters, other ones have it all goes before a judge. So they're different, some different procedures. So it's a little hard to do one at the state level, which touches everything, but I would love to hear how that works if you get it pulled off, or would love to see if we could, one of some of the representatives from MRPA could listen in. So please keep us informed about that. Open adoption terms with birth parents. And when we talk about adoptions, I know we had Josh Kroll from NACAC on last year and talked a lot about special needs adoptions. Now, they were not open adoption terms, they were more around the subsidy. How has was that helpful? Did any of you listen, or have you watched that video or that YouTube clip with Josh on our website? The Title 4E changes, I mean, that's very complicated, but it does, and I think it's being implemented a little differently in different jurisdictions. As we get a sense for that, I think that certainly could happen. There's also reauthorization of Title 4B at the federal level. That should happen sometime in June or July of this year. Title 4B is where recruitment and retention funds come from to the state. And there is some efforts. The CHAMPS project, that's Children Need Amazing Parents. They're funded by some funding from Casey, some from the Dave Thomas Foundation, and others are really pushing to have some more funds and some wording change in the retention area, because it does seem that there is so much effort, energy, and funds spent on recruiting, when if they would just use a small portion of that money to treat their existing resource parents a little better, the retention rates would change. We are seeing rates of 25% where foster parents are leaving year over year here in Maryland. So a 25% turnover, and in some cases it's not even turnover. It's the roster of available foster families has decreased by 25% or more. So that's some interesting statistics.
I have a question about that. I have a question about that statistic. When foster families do decide to leave, is there ever any sort of survey or like an exit conversation that happens with them, so that we can kind of learn what was the reason that perhaps made them leave? I'm just curious about the data.
I don't think that there's a very good collection effort at the state level to get that information. I know Jenny Jambelic, the ombud for resource parents, has been trying to get the list of families that leave to send them a survey. I don't think that has been very successful. And I sometimes I wonder if it's strictly if the roadblocks to getting those names and numbers or getting access to that data is because they don't want us, and in some cases they don't want to know. That's my personal feeling, and I'm sorry that's kind of candid and maybe negative. I don't want it to sound that way, but in reality, it is not. It certainly seems to be par for the course, status quo, and that's very sad. And I see here a statistic, and remind me which, Chris and Emily, which jurisdiction you're in when you're saying 31% left in 2020.
That's the statistic for all of Maryland. 31% of foster parents in Maryland quit in 2020. In Harford County, I'm not exactly sure what the number is, but I know our caseworker just lost 11 resource parents.
Yeah,
15 in the past month, I think, in Harford County quit.
Yeah, I was familiar with Harford County numbers. I think November they had 10 families leave and only 2 joined. So I know that was the month of November. I do not know about December, but I have heard that there were more families leaving in Harford County in December as well. So yes, they have had a huge turnover there, and it may be tied to some other underlying issues. I don't know, but there certainly seems to be they're experiencing a very high turnover.
I would go with yes on the underlying issues from just things that we have experienced.
And I understand.
We have a great caseworker. We love her to pieces. However, they have been chasing their caseworkers out of their facility for a while now, it so appears.
And I think they have a caseworker or so that's retiring in this before the end of the fiscal year as well.
Yeah, that would be ours.
Okay.
We're very sad.
Yes, I understand. Well, we're about 4 minutes till 9 o'clock. We've had incredible conversation. I would please ask you to go to our website, scroll to the bottom of the page, and there is a questionnaire that says, and it has a December 22 date on it, but the link is still live. If you fill out the promoting partnerships follow-up survey, even if you haven't heard anything from your caseworkers about any of that information, please just fill it out, because the state does want some feedback. We will use the feedback we had and what we have in the chat to provide some commentary back to the state from what we've heard. And I thank you all very, very much, but I would love to hear something else. Does anybody have a final word or something that you would really like to make sure that was addressed in one of our First Tuesday programs? Okay, well, thank you all very much. Please put your name and your jurisdiction once more in the chat so I cross-reference it. Make sure you get your training certificates for tonight. I hope you found this conversation helpful. It certainly has given us insight and information, and we deeply appreciate that. And I hope that this helps and gives you a great start to 2022. Blessings to you on your journey as a resource parent. And I hope that things work out well for you and the children that you serve. On behalf of MRPA, I say thank you, thank you, thank you.